In the words of Yolanda Van Zant, we as a people need to clean up. Let's talk. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to KRS TV. This is your boy Kenny, and this is a special video that I'm doing today. And I want to discuss, this is my thoughts and commentary video about the brutal attack that Jussie Smollett received, up in Chicago, where, two masked men who were wearing the Make America Great Again hats, tied a noose around his neck, threw bleach on him, and, severely beat him. And I did get word that he's finally out of the hospital. Thank God, my prayers and condolences are to him and his family. But this is something that I wanted to talk about, and it's something that needs to be addressed. And when I heard this, it really broke my heart. It really hurt me, because this is 2019. And yet, we're still doing the same type of degrading bullshit that we were doing in the 1960s. It was like we've made no real progression, and we're degrading back to hate, bigotry, segregation. This is insane. And personally, we as the black community should be offended that this happened to Jussie Smollett. Because in all honesty, this problem starts with us, the black community. We need to take responsibility, because these things should not be happening in today's world. And then they're talking about Make America Great Again. When did homophobia and racism ever make anything great for anybody? Like, seriously. When have those things ever been great? Promoting hate, violence, rape, disrespect, humiliation. These are crimes against humanity in all forms. And this can no longer go on. Like, come on, we are in a new age, and a man gets attacked for being black and gay. And the problem is that there's no big uprising. Well, there is a big uprising in the gay community. Trust and believe. There is an uprising. It's brewing. But the problem is that the heterosexuals in the black community, there's a lot of homophobia within the black community that needs to be flushed out. It needs to be flushed out, because most people do not get the fact that the gay community as well as the black community go hand in hand. And I'm going to show you how. Because the civil rights movement would have never happened if it wasn't for a key player who was an openly black gay man but never got the recognition that he deserved. He was the mentor to Dr. Martin Luther King, and his name is Bayard Rustin. Look him up. Because if it wasn't for him, the March on Washington would have never happened. The I Have a Dream speech that we recite and we know so well would have never happened if it wasn't for a black gay man named Bayard Rustin, who had to step back because of threats within the black community. One coming from A. Philip Randolph that pretty much told King, you need to distance yourself from him, or we're gonna kind of spread rumors that there's something going on between you two. When, in all honesty, Bayard Rustin was like a big brother to Martin Luther King. He was the one who really helped shape the philosophy of King, and how he was able to become more of a spokesman and really lead the charge of having a non-violent protest to get the attention of the masses. And it worked. This hate and bigotry and this just blatant disrespect to someone's humanity because of their sexual orientation or the color of their skin. This is about freeing, you know, the human existence. And Jussie Smollett, he, like many other, you know, gay men who are successful, who are breaking down doors, who are being activists, they are still leading the same fight that the civil rights movement initiated and the same fight that Bayard Rustin initiated. These are champions, but the straight community only see them as gay. And because there's so much homophobia that is spread within the black community, we have allowed this blatant disrespect constantly, and it can no longer be tolerated either, because without the gay community, the black community is nothing. We all are black. When, you know, and we, in all honesty, sexuality is fluid. So we're all in this race together. And I'm saying the way that it's affected the gay community, it should affect the black community just the same. Because it was the black community and the gay community that made the civil rights movement what it was. And without that key player, that genius of Bayard Rustin, we will probably still be in the same conditions as we were then, even worse. But we have made some progress, but now we need to make the progress within our community. We as black people, we need to get rid of this homophobic, you know, disease that has been spread within the black community. Now, I have a lot of straight friends, and some straight friends really don't agree with my lifestyle. They're entitled to that. But they don't disrespect me, nor do they try to physically harm me from being different. I mean, to tell you the truth, homophobia is a guy code violation. You're a bitch if you attack someone for their sexual orientation, because your sexual identity is out of your hands. You are what you are. You can't make anybody be anything. I mean, let's be real. I know a lot of gay men with wives and kids. And I know a lot of gay women with husbands and children. So when you try to create the fake narrative, it always blows up. And you wonder why, you know, some of these couples get married, you know, straight couples, and then later down the line, you know, when they're like in their 30s and 40s, they have a totally different sexual orientation, because they've always been that way, but they decided to play the game because that's what society is constantly putting in front of you. But the reality is, there's many different kind of relationships. There's many different types of sexual practices, as long as they're not violating children and animals. I'm so not for that. But I'm saying, as far as amongst humanity, there's different type of sexual tryst, and people are afraid of sexuality. They deem sexuality as something that's demonic and evil, when sexuality is natural. We're human beings, just like any other mammals. We do have sexual urges, and it's a natural thing, and each person's urges are different than the next. But in all honesty, we need to come together as a community, as a people, as a nation entirely. We need to come together so that things like this can no longer be tolerated. We can no longer have our brothers and our sisters being beat down in the streets just for being different, just because they're gay or because they're black. Get the hell out of here. When has that ever made America great? When has that disgusting ass behavior ever been great for America? Never. Because in all honesty, America would not be as successful or as lucrative as it is if it wasn't for the black race and for the many other races that have contributed to the to the American way and to the American empire. So this has to stop. And I'm really happy that, you know, that Jussie is still with us, because it could have gotten worse. You know, we could have lost him. There's no guarantee that there's no guarantee that you will survive something like that. Gay bashing has been going on for so long, and it took the lives of so many good people like Matthew Shepard, Marsha P. Johnson. You know, those are the ones I got on the top of my head, you know, and probably there'll be more to come. I mean, you know, let's keep this as an ongoing trend, because we need to start a dialogue. And we really need to come together and say that, look, this is letting people know that you still have homophobia and racism running rampant through this country like it's a token of honor. When in all actuality, it's shit. It always has been shit. It always will be shit. You can't fucking give me shit and try to tell me it's roses. It needs to end, and it needs to stop. And this can no longer happen. This is no longer acceptable. We as a people need to be bigger than we've ever been before. This is 2019. Learn, bitch. Learn. If you don't understand, ask questions. If you're insecure about your own sexuality, ask questions. Learn, understand, develop. And stop with the foolishness. Stop with the stupid shit. Stop with the endless violence and continuing to degrade one another like it's a token of honor. It's bullshit. That man did not deserve that, and nobody deserves that. Whether what type of sexual orientation you have. Nobody deserves to be disrespected in that manner. And that's the thing that we need to come to grips with. We're not going to always see eye to eye. Yeah, I may not like the fact, I may not like the fact of the way you may do things, but I have no right to disrespect you. Especially if you're not disrespecting me. There needs to be a level of respect and understanding that needs to happen. You know, we as gay people are a part of the revolution, just like the black revolution. And even though a lot of black people don't agree with the gay lifestyle, you're entitled to that. Because personally, I don't want nobody waving my flag if you ain't about it. But we can at least be respectful. We can at least work together. Because if it affects one, it affects us all. Injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. Let that be a mental note. Injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. So as long as this black community continues to shun the gay community and continues to be homophobic, the black community is going to go straight to hell. And I, for one, do not want to see that happen. I don't want to see our great people, our people of goodness, and our people of great abilities go down, all because we allow our prejudices to get in the way of development and justice. And I do hope that Jussie Smollett gets justice for this situation. Because my whole thing is that these guys were bitches. Because if they was really all about that shit, why didn't they face them why didn't they show their faces? One, they probably mainly because they didn't want to be identified, but then also it's because they're scared. And as long as they hide behind their mask, they can be the tough guy. But how tough are they when those masks are off? So that's what I have. But yeah, get down in those comments. Let me know your thoughts. Share your condolences and share your thoughts about this situation. I want to hear from you. But again, be respectful. If you say anything degrading or disrespectful to me or anybody within this chat, yes, you will be dealt with. Because one thing I do not tolerate is disrespect. I say my piece, You agree or disagree. You can disagree with me and still be respectful. The challenge is dialogue. The challenge is communication. In the field of communication, everybody's not going to always agree with you. But you can come to an understanding and you can build from that. So, subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, follow me on all of my social networks that are listed in the description box. Also, like this video, comment on this video, share this video, and really take this to heart that we as a people got to do better. So until next time, everybody, take care.